What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another tier list video on the channel today. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the Dynasty running back tier list ranking. In front of me, I have all of the running backs, or at least most of the fantasy relevant running backs going into the 2023 season. I'm going to be putting them on my list. They're either going to be league winners, guys that are going to be some studs, spot starter, maybe that you can start some weeks, mid. Good luck if you are starting this guy, and then if you're starting this guy in the last tier, then you're in full-on tank mode. But before we get into the list, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are enjoying the videos. I hope to continue making a lot of good videos for you guys. I've been trying to daily upload, so if you guys have been enjoying, please subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me, and it would be further encouragement that you guys are enjoying the content I'm putting out. But all right, let's go ahead and start with this list. Like I said, I have most of the fantasy relevant running backs. I did not make this tier list. I think just glancing over it really quick, the only two rookies on this list are going to be Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs, which I think are undoubtedly going to be the highest impact running back rookies in 2023. There's going to be other guys. There's going to be Tajay Spears, Devin Akane, Kendre Miller. I get that, but for right now, those are the only two rookies on the list. Let's go ahead and start with Khalil Herbert right here. I think Khalil Herbert is going to be a spot starter. And the reason I say this is because the Bears are, and the Bears have always been, a run-heavy team. They're going to run the football. Last year, they were like second in the entire league in rushing efficiency. They're going to be a running team, and they're probably going to be a pretty good running team, especially with the threat of Justin Fields in the backfield. Khalil Herbert, though, David Montgomery's gone, so he will gain some snaps. But Dante Foreman is in, and they did draft Roschon Johnson, so I think that it'll be a lot of like running back by committee. But with the amount of volume that the Bears are going to run the ball, Khalil Herbert is still going to get touches. He's probably still going to be a decent receiver out of the backfield. And I think that there will be a few games this year where he puts up like 25, 30 points, a couple touchdowns. He's a sneaky guy. He can rip off some big runs. So he's a good spot starter if you catch him on a good week. Christian McCaffrey, there's really no debate here. He's a league winner. Christian McCaffrey has been a league winner since he entered the league with the Carolina Panthers, and I'm sure with the 49ers giving up the amount of draft assets that they did, he's going to be the exact same way for them. He's going to be a big part of the offense, both in the rushing game and in the receiving game, and I think that he is going to score a lot of touchdowns as well. He did it last year, throwing, rushing, receiving. He probably kicked a couple extra points for all we know. And Christian McCaffrey is going to be a big part of the offense, especially if the 49ers are having questionable quarterback play. I think they're going to rely on him a lot in like the check down and intermediate areas. He's just a very gifted running back. I don't really need to elaborate too much more than I already did. Kenneth Walker is a stud. Don't be too afraid of Kenneth Walker after the Seahawks drafted Zach Charbonnet. If you guys remember a long time ago, a similar fear kind of happened to Marshawn Lynch when the Seahawks drafted Christian Michel. And you might be wondering, well, who is that guy? And that is exactly my point. And I'm not saying Zach Charbonnet is going to be bad, but I do think that he is not going to take away a lot of the production that Kenneth Walker provides. Kenneth Walker is a home run hitter at running back, and he, got over 1,000 yards last year without even being the full-time starter for the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season. Kenneth Walker will be fine. He might lose a little bit to Zach Charbonnet, but again, he lost a little bit to Rashad Penny for those first part of the year last year. So Kenneth Walker is going to be fine, I promise you. So next on the list, we have Devin Singletary, now of the Houston Texans. And I'm going to put him in good luck because, A, I've never really been high on Devin Singletary to begin with. I've never been too, ever since the draft and when he came out, ever since he's been with the Bills, he's been pretty unimpressive, very, very inconsistent. And now he's going into Houston that does, yes, have a good offensive line and a young quarterback, which are normally good things for running backs. But I think that he's going to be behind Dameon Pierce in Houston. And I don't think that offense is going to be too explosive. I also don't think he's going to be too involved in the passing game. So I'll put him in good luck as well. Ezekiel Elliott, at the time being, that is tank season because he's not currently signed to a team. Do I think that he will be a free agent throughout the course of the year? No. I think some team will give him a chance, maybe to be their short yardage back, maybe to be something along those lines. But Zeke is not going to be the same Zeke that he was a few years ago in fantasy. He's probably not going to be the starter anywhere that he goes. And while he might score some touchdowns, in the goal line or whatever, he's not going to be a big part of the passing game either. So obviously this might change for the better if he goes to a good landing spot for his skill set. But as of right now, Zeke Elliott is in tank season. And I'm recording this on June 21st. So if anybody signs Ezekiel Elliott and before I release this video, then it's not my fault, but Zeke Elliott's right there. All right, Breece Hall. You already know Breece Hall's a league winner. dynasty relevant as well because he's young. But Brees Hall is going to be doing everything with the New York Jets. He was phenomenal last year, and I think adding Aaron Rodgers to that offense is going to help him out so much in the passing game. He's going to be able to get consistent catches. He's going to be able to run the ball. And again, teams can't really crowd the line when they have Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson to worry about in the passing game. So he is going to be really, really good for the Jets. He's young. He's really, really talented. And I'm very excited to see where Brees Hall goes and how far he takes certain fantasy teams. Leonard Fournette, that's tank season. I'm just going to be real with you. Playoff Lenny is not the guy he was in Tampa a few years ago, not the guy he was in Jacksonville a few years ago. And, I don't really need to elaborate too much. It's Leonard Fournette in the year 2023. Josh Jacobs, this one's hard for me because I think Josh Jacobs has potential to be a league winner because, he did lead the league in rushing last year. But with the contract dispute going on with the Raiders right now and with the current unpredictability of their quarterback situation, I think that this hurts Josh Jacobs' fantasy value a little bit. He's also getting older, which, obviously we see running backs drop off a cliff. I'm not saying that he's bad, and I'm not saying that he's not a guy that you should go grab in fantasy if you get the chance, but I don't think he's going to have as good of a season as he does last year. The contract negotiation stuff could get ugly, as we know. Le'Veon Bell notoriously kind of sat out a whole year. So we'll see where that goes. But as of right now, I still think he's a really, really good running back, but I wouldn't put him in league winner just yet. Now, this one is perhaps the most controversial. This might be my most head-ass take in this entire video. I'm going to put DeAndre Swift at the bottom tier, at the bottom spot in stud. Here's why. If DeAndre Swift can access at least like a tenth of his total talent and be that guy in Philly, be the starting running back, he's got it made. Great offensive line, good scheme. The team's got to worry about receivers, so they're not going to be able to crowd the box. He's going to get touches in the goal line. He's going to get read option opportunities with Jalen Hurts, and he is good in the passing game. And Jalen Hurts is obviously a more than adequate quarterback. If he is capable of reaching his potential, I think that this is a great, great spot for his fantasy value in Philly. Now, I put him at stud because, again, for those factors, I think he could be really good. But there's also a chance that he ends up like he did in Detroit, and it's just the hype machine that never went anywhere. So we'll have to see. But for right now, DeAndre Swift is going to be in the stud category. Additionally, Nick Chubb is going to be in the stud category. Nick Chubb is finally free of the shackles of Kareem Hunt, taking away all of his snaps. Not all, but, some. And I think that with Kareem Hunt gone and Deshaun Watson back in the fold, his catches are going to go way up. I think that his rushing numbers are going to stay relatively even to what they were, which is, pretty solid 1,300 yards a year. I think the offense is going to be a lot better in Cleveland, so he's going to get more scoring opportunities. And it's Nick Chubb. I mean, Nick Chubb is, in my opinion, the best running back, but to most people who watch football's opinion, one of at least the best running backs in the entire NFL. Next, we have Tyler Algier. Tyler Algier is a guy who had a really good rookie season, and his fantasy value is absolutely tanked right now because the Falcons selected Bijan Robinson with the number 7 pick. I'm going to put him in mid because, there is a possibility that Bijan gets injured or something like that happens. And Arthur Smith is a very run-heavy coach. But with the plethora of weapons that the Falcons now have at their disposal, namely including Bijan Robinson, who I just mentioned, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, I think it's going to be difficult for Tyler Algier to become fantasy relevant in 2023. Again, good rookie season. There's a chance that he gets traded to a team that is running back needy. I think the Chiefs would be a great team to trade for him. But unfortunately, he's just not a guy that's going to be very fantasy relevant because of those factors. So it is what it is. It happens to the best of us, bro. Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams is a guy who's also going to be a good spot starter. And last year kind of just came out of nowhere and had like 18, 19 rushing touchdowns, whatever it was ridiculous numbers. I don't think he's going to have that same production in New Orleans now. But Alvin Kamara, is there a suspension looming? Is he getting older? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So is Alvin Kamara going to be the same Alvin Kamara that he was for years? I'm not sure. I don't think Jamal Williams is a guy that's going to be able to replicate what he did last year. However, I do think that he's still a pretty good threat to score touchdowns almost every single week. And this is a guy who is going to be, I think, in a pretty good Saints offense, nothing crazy. So I think that the reason I'm going to put him in spot starter is because there's going to be some weeks where he's just buried on the bench behind Alvin Kamara, but then there will be certain weeks where he has like 3 touchdowns rushing and he puts up like 30 points. So it'll really just depend what he does, but I think he's a decent spot starter if you want to, catch him on a good week maybe. Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is a league winner, and it saddens me to say that because foreshadowing for another video coming out this week. But listen, he is young. He is a guy who had some injuries last year, but the year before he was the #1 running back overall in fantasy football. He was awesome. Another thing that I think is really good for Jonathan Taylor is now he's got Anthony Richardson, who could be, maybe will be, an elite quarterback. I do worry that Anthony Richardson will steal more carries from him in the running game, and that toward the goal line and everything like that, Anthony Richardson will be the one punching it in. But for right now, I'm not going to dock him for just my projections of a rookie quarterback. I think he's still a really, really good asset, especially in dynasty leagues. He's young, and I think that Jonathan Taylor is a good player to help you win your fantasy league. Saquon Barkley, pretty much the same thing. Saquon Barkley is a guy who put together a good year last year. Giants offense. There are some contract dispute stuff, but I think Saquon Barkley is a little bit more consistently great when he's on the field than Josh Jacobs, which is why I have him higher. He's able to do more in the passing game as well, and the Giants receivers are not exactly great, so I think he'll be another big part of the passing game, and I think he's going to score touchdowns as well. I'm going to go a little quicker to get through some of these guys. James Cook, I'm going to put him as mid. I'm really not as high on James Cook as a lot of people are. I understand the hype, and I understand the breakout season inbound takes, but I just don't see it. The Bills, to me, are always going to be an offense that's going through Josh Allen, and any player not named Stephon Diggs, or in this case, probably Dalton Kincaid, are really not going to be too fantasy relevant on the Bills. Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is a stud. I'm going to put him above DeAndre Swift. He's been that guy in Green Bay for many years, and I think with Aaron Rodgers gone, the Packers are going to run the ball a lot more. I do worry that maybe he's getting a little bit older, but that's not a concern for today. Exactly. I think that that's maybe something to talk about down the line. But as of right now, he's still really, really good. Raheem Mostert is... Oh, I'm sorry. Missing Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson is good luck. I never really bought the Antonio Gibson hype train. I think especially with Brian Robinson coming in last year and being as good as he was, it's going to lead to less and less opportunities for Antonio Gibson. But I'll still leave the door open because, you never know. Ron Rivera said that they're going to try to get him more snaps, so we'll see. But as of right now, I just don't buy it. Excuse me. Raheem Mostert, same thing. Devin Kane is coming in, and they did sign a running back. I'm sorry, they traded for a running back, Jeff Wilson, from the 49ers. I'm having a brain fart there for a second. To me, again, this is a pass-heavy offense. Raheem Mostert has really never been able to consistently put together great games, and he's probably in a running back by committee situation. So maybe you catch him on a good day. Probably not, though, and I think Raheem Mostert is not a very good option. If you're starting Kenyon Drake in 2023, good luck to you. I hope you like getting Caleb Williams first overall next year. If you're starting Clyde Edwards-Helaire, also good luck to you. I hope you know that he's probably not going to do anything. Back to the interesting guys. Travis Etienne is up here in... Oh, where did I put him? In the stud category. I meant to put him, right there. I'll put him a little bit above Kenneth Walker. I do worry about Tank Bigsby. That's why I kind of have him right next to Kenneth Walker, because those two guys could kind of creep up on him. But Travis Etienne is a better receiving threat than Kenneth Walker is, and he's in a pass-heavy offense. I don't think he's going to get as many rushing opportunities because Doug Peterson doesn't want to run the ball as much as Pete Carroll does. But Travis Etienne was awesome last year, and I hope that it can continue for 2023 as well. A.J. Dillon, to me, is a really good spot starter. I'll put him above Khalil Herbert. This is a guy who is only 25 years old. He's behind Aaron Jones, and like I said, the Packers are going to be run heavy. If A.J. Dillon can really be a good thunder, to Aaron Jones' lightning, that'll be great for the Packers, and I think that they will rely on them to, especially running backs, especially in cold cities. And I should have mentioned this with Khalil Herbert as well. When the weather in Green Bay gets fucking cold, we still don't know if Jordan Love can throw the ball in the cold. Aaron Rodgers always could. If Jordan Love can't really throw the ball too well in the cold, they're gonna run the fuck out of the football, and A.J. Dillon will benefit from that. Brian Robinson, kind of the same thing. He's a good spot starter. I haven't seen enough from Brian Robinson. He was good last year, not great. He was good. Um, Sam Howell coming in, I think they're going to try to be more pass heavy, especially with Eric Bieniemy, who has always been quarterback focused. Their three receivers are the strength of that offense. I don't think that's any debate. Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, and John Dotson are awesome. They're going to try to use Logan Thomas more, they've said. He's a decent spot starter. Jerick McKinnon, he's kind of good luck. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to put him up here. He is a good receiving back, but he's not going to probably get consistent starting reps for the Chiefs. And as we all know, the Chiefs are a very pass-heavy team. So we'll see where that goes. Tony Pollard, I think Tony Pollard is a stud. I love Tony Pollard. He is now the definitive running back one in Dallas, which he had been fighting off Zeke Elliott for the past couple of years. Elliott's no longer with the Cowboys, and Tony Pollard showed last year, I think, his dynamic ability to not only run the ball well and score a lot of touchdowns, but to receive the ball well. He was a great receiver last year. He's going to be in that Dallas offense. It's going to be pretty balanced, I think, running the ball and running the ball and throwing the ball. Excuse me. And I think Tony Pollard will benefit from both of those. Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm going to put right next to him. I think he's a stud. I'm going to be a little hesitant just because he's a rookie and we don't know anything yet. But the way that they drafted him in the top 12 tells me that they absolutely love him. And I like offensive coordinator Ben Johnson to do something very, very creative with him. I've read reports that he's already playing in the slot in practice, that he's running routes, he's making everybody look good. Love Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he's going to be an absolute stud. Another guy who's a stud is, of course, going to be the king, Derrick Henry. I'll put him right there. Age is a issue, I agree, and the Titans definitely are devoid of talent, but it's Derrick Henry. I mean, it's Derrick Henry, so it don't really matter. So I'm going to go ahead and put Derrick Henry in stud. I hope I don't get any objections to that. Isaiah Pacheco is going to be a spot starter guy. He's going to have some good games. There's going to be games where he's going to be able to score a lot of touchdowns because the Chiefs score a lot of points. But week in and week out, you probably don't want to have Isaiah Pacheco as your starting running back. I think that he could catch a lot of passes from Mahomes, but the Chiefs are never going to be a run-heavy team, so it's going to be difficult for him to contribute consistently on a week-to-week basis. Samaje Perine might be good for the first couple weeks before Javonte Williams gets there, but I think after that it's the Javonte Williams. It's Javonte Williams' job to lose. Like, let's be real here. Don't need to spend too much time on Samaje Perine. Joe Mixon, let's hope that he can not beat somebody up this year and stay out of jail. If he can, then I think he's probably a decent spot starter. Joe Mixon to me is such a weird guy because he has a lot of talent, and obviously that Bengals team is going to be passing the ball, so he'll be able to catch some passes. But it's just weird to me. I just can never trust. I just can never trust Joe Mixon, to be honest with you. Kareem Hunt is mid. He's also not on a team right now, but obviously when he does sign to one, he's going to probably be a running back 2 or a running back by committee type guy. He is going to put up some big numbers due to his skill set, but I don't think that he is going to be the guy that he was his first couple of years in Cleveland. Dante Foreman, kind of the same thing. I'm going to put him behind James Cook just because he's a bit older than James Cook. He's going to be going to that Bears offense, like I said, that's going to run the ball, and he was very, very efficient in the second half of last season after Christian McCaffrey left the Panthers. But like I said, he's going to be fighting Khalil Herbert and Rashawn Johnson. The Bears are going to probably do a committee thing. He's going to lose some touchdowns to Justin Fields. And with DJ Moore, his other Panthers teammate, coming into the fold, they're going to want to throw the ball a little bit more than I think they did last year. So Dante Foreman's probably a mid-starter. Alvin Kamara, this to me is kind of the same thing as Joe Mixon. I just have so many question marks. Like, if it's Alvin Kamara, like, yeah, he's a stud, all that type of stuff. But I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Is he washed? Is he old? Is he going to be suspended? I have no idea. I'm going to put him in spot starter. David Montgomery, I'm going to put kind of in the same tier, to be honest with you. I think he's going to lose a lot of valuable touches to Jahmyr Gibbs coming in. He's going to be a bigger part of the receiving game. He's going to probably score more touchdowns. David Montgomery is going to be the workhorse for a time, I think, and then his role is going to diminish a little bit. But, David Montgomery has been a solid back in Chicago for his whole career. The Lions signed him to a 3-year, $18 million contract. And I don't think that he'll be irrelevant, but I don't think he's a guy that you want starting week in and week out. Matt Breida, kind of good luck, Matt Breida. I'll probably throw him at the top of good luck just because, that Dolphins offense is going to be pretty good. But I'm sorry, Jeff Wilson. I get those guys confused. I'm just dumb, bro. My fault. But yeah, the Dolphins, like I said, kind of same thing with Raheem Mostert committee. It's going to be a pass-heavy team, but I don't know. Good luck, I guess. Austin Eckler. I'm a lot lower on Austin Eckler than a lot of people are, but yeah, I'll probably put him like right here. Always going to be a threat receiving. He was in the last couple of years. But I think new offensive coordinator Kellen Moore is going to want to stretch the ball vertically a lot more. Additionally, they got Quentin Johnson, who I think will take away some of the checkdowns that Austin Eckler was dependent on for fantasy. And I think that he might lose some snaps to the other running backs in the Chargers running back room. So that's just what I say. I am going to be lower on him than a lot of people, but he's still Austin Eckler, and he's still produced for a lot of years. Rashad White. He is gonna be behind Jamal Williams, to be honest with you. I'm tempted to put him in mid, but he did show some promise last year, and especially with the shitty quarterback situation that the Buccaneers have. They might want to run the ball a lot and feed him, but I just don't know. I know that they signed, was it Sean Tucker from Illinois as an undrafted free agent, which for me to say that an undrafted free agent is going to take somebody's job is bold take, I understand. But, let's not act like running backs normally get taken with premium capital. I mean, let's just say that, right? Cam Akers is mid. I'm so sorry. I just can't do it with you guys and Cam Akers. I'm so sick of the Cam Akers hype. They re-signed Sony Michel. I just can't do it. I can't do it. He's coming off 20 Achilles. I don't know if he'll ever be the same, but that's just me with Cam Akers, right? Chuba Hubbard is going to be actually a decent spot starter, I think. I think he'll probably be above Brian Robinson. Listen, last year he was probably the third best running back in Carolina. Christian McCaffrey gets traded, and Dante Foreman goes to the Bears in free agency. All of a sudden, Chuba Hubbard is one of the better running backs. He's coming into an offense with rookie quarterback Bryce Young and pretty mid receivers, I would say. So I think they're going to try to run the ball a lot and depend on him, especially in the early parts of the year when Bryce Young is still getting used to the offense. I think that he's a good spot starter. He's going to have a few good games, but towards the end of the year, I don't know how relevant he'll really be. James Conner is also kind of mid. Now, what's good for James Conner is that he should get opportunities, especially in the beginning of the year, being that Kyler Murray is out with a torn ACL. But I don't know if I trust his age. I don't know if he's going to get replaced. I don't know if I like that offensive line. They got rid of an offensive head coach for a defensive head coach. Mind you, Cliff Kingsbury wasn't much of a coach regardless. But I think their offense is going to be really bad, and his quarterback situation is going to suck ass. So I'm not too high on James Conner. Ramondre Stevenson. This is going to be a head-ass take, and you guys are going to hate me for it, but I think Ramondre is a league winner. And let me explain, right? Ramondre Stevenson is a guy who was very productive last year in New England. He only started 7 games, but he was able to catch a lot of passes, and he was able to rush for a good amount of yards. That is with no offensive coordinator. Like, they had a defensive guys being their offensive coordinator last year. So, Bill O'Brien coming in. Bill O'Brien, in my opinion, has always used running backs in a versatile role. Think about his time at Alabama with Najee Harris, Jahmyr Gibbs, et cetera, right? He's going to be a part of the passing game. He's going to be a part of the running game. I think he's going to score touchdowns, and that Patriots offense is going to be better. I like Ramondre Stevenson a lot. I think that he is worth it to go and be a league winner. Cordell Patterson, unfortunately, not going to be the guy. He's going to be the third running back in Atlanta. I'll put him behind Raheem Mostert. Dalvin Cook is going to be mid. Listen, he's probably going to go to the Dolphins. And like I said with Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, and Devin Achane, they're already pretty, filled up at running back. And Dalvin Cook, again, pass-heavy team. I just don't see a alleyway where Dalvin Cook is a really fantasy-relevant running back in Miami. Now, if he goes somewhere else, again, he was not a very efficient runner last year. The advanced stats don't lie, so we'll see. But that's kind of how it is. Bijan Robinson, I don't need to tell you otherwise. He's going to be a league winner. I mean, what did you expect me to say? He's probably the number one running back asset in Dynasty fantasy football right now. Do you need further analysis? I mean, just watch the draft, watch football, watch college football, listen to the reports in training camp. That's all you really need to know. All right, J.K. Dobbins, this is a guy that I am really high on, but up until this point, he's pretty unproven. So I'm going to just put him in spot starter. I got to see how the offense rolls with new Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken. Kind of see what they're cooking up in Baltimore there, but I do think that he can be really, really good. I think Javonte Williams is a stud. I'm going to put him above Aaron Jones. Javonte Williams, to me, is going to be able to recover well from his injuries last year, and the Broncos' offense is going to be much improved. Sean Payton, remember, is the same coach that led Alvin Kamara to being one of the best fantasy running backs for years. I think Javonte Williams is a better runner with the football. Probably not as good as a receiver, but he's a better runner, and the Broncos are going to utilize him to his full effect. So hopefully he can stay healthy this year. Um, you know, a guy who is going to be a spot starter. I'm going to put him right next to Chuba Hubbard, Miles Sanders, because I kind of see them in the same light. I don't think neither one of them are particularly great, but again, like I said with Chuba Hubbard, however you say his name, Panthers are going to be a young team. They're going to be led by Bryce Young, who is going to be adapting and learning the NFL offense. They're going to probably run the ball soon. I don't know which one of these two guys is going to emerge as a starter. My guess would be Miles Sanders because of the free agency deal. But I'm not a big Miles Sanders guy. I mean, he was pretty bad in the Super Bowl, and that left a bad taste in my mouth. So that's whatever. Najee Harris is going to go above Aaron Jones as well, right below Javonte Williams. He is a really good running back, and the Steelers did a lot to improve their offensive line in the draft. They took Broderick Jones. They took Darnell Washington. They were able to get a lot better up front, I think, and that'll create running holes for Najee Harris. Additionally, Kenny Pickett's still young. I think he's going to be able to be a part of the receiving game, and I like Najee Harris a lot. I've loved him since he came out of Alabama. And then that would leave Damian Harris, who I think is a pretty good spot starter. I'm going to put him below Alvin Kamara. He's going to be running the ball a lot in Houston. So this is my list for the tier list for fantasy running backs in 2023 and beyond. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I will catch you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace out.